I believe that President Donald Trump is capable of implementing them.
Duda's comments reflect the hopes of many European leaders who are placing their expectations on Trump to use his influence on Moscow, since so far his pressure has mainly been directed at Ukraine. Trump in particular has stated that Ukraine will not become a NATO member and has proposed peace options that included recognizing Crimea as part of Russia. Since returning to major politics, Trump has repeatedly claimed that he could end the war between Russia and Ukraine within 24 hours. As part of this strategy, he sent his special envoy Steve Witkoff to Moscow for talks, but this meeting did not result in any easing of Russian demands.
But Trump has suggested he may soon change course. After meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in Rome last month, Trump said he was considering sanctioning Moscow after Putin has continued to attack civilian areas.
Russia has stepped up its surveillance of NATO's military activity in the Baltic Sea and is carrying out shows of force and provocations, according to a report by Latvia's Defense Intelligence and Security Service, assessing Russia's military activity near Latvia, reported by European Pravda sitting in Delphi, a Baltic states news website. The threat assessment and annual review released by the service state that Russia is engaging in acts of provocation and intimidation, such as unauthorized airspace violations and aggressive approaches towards NATO aircraft and vessels, increasing the risk of accidental military incidents. The aim of such provocation is likely to intimidate and test the reactions of potential adversaries. At the same time, the report notes that attempts to discredit regional states and undermine their defense capabilities cannot be ruled out. Latvian intelligence reports that in 2024, as part of a reform of Russia's armed forces, the Western Military District, which borders Latvia, was reorganized into the newly formed Leningrad and Moscow military districts. MRDD explains that this was officially presented as a response to Finland and Sweden joining NATO. Notes that alongside the war in Ukraine, Russia has begun, at least formally, creating new units and reorganizing existing ones as part of its declared military reform plan. For example, a new army corps has been formed in Karelia, and two motorized rifle brigades belonging to the 6th Combined Arms Army stationed closest to Latvia are to be transformed into divisions. A Marine Brigade of the Baltic Fleet, based in the Kaliningrad enclave, is also to be upgraded to a division. However, MRDD emphasizes that the creation or expansion of these units does not currently indicate a real increase in military power near Latvia's borders, as the bulk of Russia's military resources remain focused on the war in Ukraine. The report also highlights that since the start of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, the Russian armed forces have faced limitations not only in strategic exercises but also in operational tactical drills, likely due to shortages of personnel and equipment. Russia and Belarus are expected to hold joint strategic drills called Zapad 2025 later this year, primarily on Belarusian territory. However, the scale and scope of the exercises will largely depend on the course of Russia's war against Ukraine. At the same time, the intelligence service stresses that under current conditions, Russia lacks the capability to launch another full-scale strategic land operation. On the night of Tuesday, May 6, 100 unidentified drones attacked the territory of the Russian Federation. Explosions rang out in Moscow and the Moscow region, as well as in 4 regions of the Russian Federation, according to Russian Telegram channels and the Russian Ministry of Defense. The mayor of the Russian capital, Sergei Sobyanin, stated that in Moscow and the Moscow region, air defense systems were operating due to the drone attack. According to him, fragments of one of the UAVs hit a residential building on Kashirsky Highway in Moscow. Also, the Kabad plan was announced in the region and Russians implemented it for airports during air threats. This plan involves a ban on receiving and dispatching flights at the airport. At least 10 planes flying to Moscow from other cities were redirected to land at the airports of Nizhny Novgorod and St. Petersburg. The Russian Ministry of Defense has already stated about the successful work of air defense. 32 drones were destroyed over the territory of the Bryansk region, 22 over Voronezh, and 19 over the capital region. Also, 10 UAVs were shot down over the Penza region, 9 over Kaluga, 6 over Belgorod, 2 more were destroyed over the Lipetsk and Samara regions, and 1 drone each over the Vladimir, Kursk, and Rostov regions. That's all for today. Thanks for watching this video. Like and subscribe.